Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in. My name is Floyd Jordan, and I'm a love logician, otherwise known as a dating and relationship coach. And what I do is I help people like you have those relationships for that trust and that lust all together. Sometimes you can make love with a lot of people, but it is illogical to think you can make a life with a lot of people. And what I wanted to do today is just kind of go over, open it up to you guys. Man, as I think here, I think I have the time limit too much, but I'm going to stick it at about 10 minutes a guest. And again, kind of talk about the three keys for modern dating. Just three. I'm not saying these are the final three, just kind of something I think is important, maybe missed. I'm working with a lot of clients. I think we miss some common things when we go through this process of dating. So we're going to talk about that today. I'm just going to read through them and then kind of see what you guys think. And maybe they're silly, maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? But number one, I think, is dating doesn't mean courtship. Number two for today is men and women have hormones, and biology imposes different constraints upon them. And that's just biology, that ain't even social constructions. And number three for today, I think is an important key, is we got to give based on objective, not perspective. Whether it's your genitals you're giving away, whether it's money, whether it's your life, time, commitment, we should give based on objective, on things that are happening, on things that we can see, we can touch. And that's hard to do in today's dating culture of we're texting for a couple of weeks, months maybe, before we see each other. So dating, this is a key, man. This is a big one. Dating doesn't mean courtship. You say, Floyd, what do you mean by that? What do you mean it doesn't mean courtship? Everyone, what I'm saying is dating means a lot. It means different stuff to different folks out here. Widely disparate things. To some people, and you find this more common with my gentlemen out there in the world, dating kind of means you're looking at like a vagina buffet. It's kind of like a vagina buffet. It's kind of like, to some women, it's kind of like we're a buffet of sexual activity. Now, to some people, and I'm not saying this is bad. I'm not saying it's bad if you want that. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying we got to know the world we're navigating if we want to get to where we want to go. So again, dating, isn't courtship, because when we say dating, some people do mean courtship. There's some ladies out here, when they're saying I'm dating, I'm looking for a relationship, they mean it. They might not have sex with you in, the 2 to 3 date custom of hookup culture. They might not. They might want you to pursue them a little bit. They might, hey, there's some people out here, there's some men out here, they're courtship, they're courting, like they want to maybe make you a wife, they don't just want to sweet talk you for a night, they want to sweet talk you for a life. And that's something that's really out here. There's men and there's women, and people are out here looking for it, but there's also people looking for hookups. So there's people looking for hookups to just, again, taste the flavor of sexuality, and then there's some people that are looking to kind of, something more. They want to have and it could look different. Could be marriage and religious, could be a bunch of atheistic hippies. Man, it doesn't matter. It's just some people, when they're dating with some intention, right? They want something out of this. Their goal is to maybe start a family, build a life. And that's the way you can simply look at it. When people say dating, here's what they mean by it. They're looking to make love with people, or they're looking to make a life with somebody. And that's not always the same thing these days. So you got to remember that. That's number one. But yeah, we're talking about men and women and biology. That's number two for today. Number two dating tip of the day is we forget, and again, I'm all about women's rights. I want to, my mama made 90 cents an hour when I was born, busting her tail, in the 1960s, I think like the 1920s, women couldn't even have credit cards. So there's been a lot of patriarchy, and I don't like it. I don't like it. But what we got to realize, and there's an article on CNN, I'm actually going to post it on my Instagram. You can follow me if you want to check it out. But a CNN article I was reading, it basically said the CDC expert was quoted as saying that going into the fact that STDs are sexist. STDs are sexist. He goes so far, he quotes in there, I believe he says, biology is sexist in some ways. So you say, well, why does that matter, Floyd? Well, it's because we have to navigate this. We have to know, like, if you were living life and you're like, Floyd, I ain't got no legs. I ain't got no legs, Floyd. I wouldn't tell you to give up. I wouldn't say let's complain to the universe that, you don't have legs or they took your legs. I wouldn't say let's file a complaint. I wouldn't say let's try to cancel, the universe, God, whatever. I wouldn't say that. I would say, hey, let's figure out how to make a great life that you love living with no legs. And we all get like this. We're all dealt hands we don't pick. You say, why does this matter? Well, again, biologically speaking, there's hormones. So not just STDs being sexist, but things like, a man's going to try to sleep with you. Man's going to try to sleep with you. And the thing is a man's going to kind of judge you by that. Just like men and women kind of maybe test each other. But the biology of it, I guess, is that when a woman has sex, to be as empirical as we can, is when a woman has sex, the difference between a woman and a man having sex and an orgasm is that a woman produces more of a hormone called oxytocin. And what oxytocin is known to do is it's called the attachment hormone. The attachment hormone. And what that does is that's again produced when you hug, when you hold your baby, and it's biologically helpful because that helps attach, that woman cares about that baby. But again, they produce more of that during sex. A lot more. Now, a man, on the other hand, produces some oxytocin during sex, but he produces far more dopamine. And dopamine, I don't know if you're aware, but that's the addiction. That's when you start dealing with some dangerous addictions. That dopamine sensor, it's your feel-good system. It makes you feel good. And so the reason I say this is that we end up, if you look at it, we have a lot of women, which I've seen, dealing with my clients, I've women that get attached to men that they knew not to be attached to. She'll tell me, hey, Floyd, this is going to just be sex. And I'm like, okay, And then next thing you know, a couple of weeks later, something happens. Her heart's broken. She's attached. She doesn't even know why. She's asking me, I don't even like this boy. He's not even that hot. Why do I? Well, again, hormones. Also, we have men out here. Men become little crack fiends for sex. I see you, men. I see you. I would call you boys more, but you're out there. And boys get in a situation where they're going after sex recklessly. And yeah, this is bad for the women, right? It's putting women in a terrible position. It's making families with fatherless homes and such. Again, no dad on my birth certificate. But it's making men too where, they're just fiends for the sex. It's so much easier if you imagine in the same way it's easier to get opioids today than it would have been just a couple hundred years ago, even 150 years ago. In that same way that opioid access has increased and so has addiction, that same thing is happening with sex in our current culture. So 1960s was the first birth control pill that was really ubiquitous. Now, before then, for a woman to have sex with you, you had to show her some more than just some tender game. For a woman to have sex with you and take the risk of possibly conceiving your child, you had to do a lot more than take her on, 1 to 3 Tinder dates and 2 to 3 weeks of texting. You had to give a lot more to get it. It's a lot more accessible. And in the same way as opioids being more accessible, sex is more accessible. It's kind of more easily, more readily available. And because of this, I'm not judging one or the other, but it makes an environment where we have women, again, because of hormones, they get attached easy, but sex is kind of a more ubiquitous thing. It's casual sex, hookup culture, name of the game. And then we also have men that are going out trying to have sex like crack addicts, that they're getting attached. They're just not living up to their potential. They might be having a lot of sex, but that's not a lot of success. They're not really being men. They're just kind of boys. And I think this world can kind of needs men, right? We need fathers, we need mothers, and there's constraints on that. So that's number 2. Number 3 dating tip of the day is you got to give yourself based on objective, not prospective. Give what you give. I don't care if you're buying her a date. I don't care if you're going to have sex with him. I don't care. Give whatever you give based on objective, what you see, what is real, not what you think is going to happen in the future, not what you prospect, not what you predict. Give based on objective, not prospective. And we all get stuck in doing this, right? So, and again, this is why it's incredibly important for modern dating let's go a little science with it, so a person that dates today is far different than any time in human history. Like I have a client I'm working with now, and she's on dating apps like most people are on dating apps. And the thing is first off, they always have access to you. You can always send a message to someone. You could be in the comfort of your home, your bathroom, your work, always on. But the most important part of this is that you see pictures of this person. They send you text messages, voice notes, and they sound so kind. And they sound like they're loving. Again, in the picture, you see him holding the dog, and you see him maybe holding a big fish that they caught in the river. And you see this and you think, wow. And you start envisioning a life with them, right? You start saying, oh, I can be on his boat, and, we'd have kids, and I'd have his last name. Because you'll text on online dating for a good freaking weeks, maybe months. Some clients I've had text for months before meeting. But your brain doesn't know the difference. Your brain thinks that it's really happening. Your brain thinks that Mike is a fisherman that loves dogs. Dude, Mike could have had somebody else catch a fish and held it while they took the picture, and he could be a daggone dog kicker. He kicks his dog, but for this picture, he smiled and said, "Yep, look at this." So what I'm saying is, you got to give in dating based on objective, not prospective, what things will be, what things could be, what things might be. And it's really hard in online dating because you're looking at these pictures for a while and you're seeing this and you're talking to him for maybe weeks or months. And it feels like then all of a sudden you go on 1 date, 2 date, 3 dates. It feels like, in your head, you feel like, oh, I could trust this person because I've seen him. I should have the data. I've seen how he acts. And just, that's not a bad feeling. Don't judge yourself for that. For a minute, again, we got to give based on objective, not perspective, but don't judge yourself if you found yourself, again, dating online, talking to someone, and then you meet them, and then you have sex with them, and they freaking ghost you, right? It's because you have biology at play. And your brain, for most of evolution, if you would have seen someone's face for a couple of months, that means you would be intimately involved with that person. You guys would be hunting and gathering, right? You guys would be going through the plains. You guys would be on a farm. You guys would be working together. You would go to school together. You would see how this person reacts all the time and not just some filtered image, right? You would see if that guy could fish. You'd be out there, like, shit, Tom catches a lot of fish, because you would just see it. It'd be like, damn, every day this guy has a fish. Like, it wouldn't work, the Tinder game, it fools us because, again, you see him kicking a dog. You see him being mean to dogs. You see him, the way he treats the waiter, the way he treats people. But in that picture, you would know that your brain overseeing him over months would pick up on these. So it kind of, again, in the modern dating, we haven't evolved for this technology. And one way, again, in modern dating, one of the keys then is that we give based on objective, not perspective. You give, if you see him fish, trust him to fish. But girl, don't trust him with your heart if you've just seen some pictures and some sweet talking little poems. Like a lot of these guys got copy and paste. They'll send the same message out. It's savage, but it's true. So again, and to the gentleman, maybe I've focused a little bit on the feminine, on the female side there. But yeah, man, if you're a guy, you're given, you got to get objective too. Like, I know your hormones, and she might have a big boobs and a butt, but slow down, young fella. You don't need to buy her a ticket to come see you. You don't need to send her $1,000. You don't need to, the first date doesn't need to be a daggone, going to Nobu. Even if I got clients, dude, even if you got a plane, even if you have a boat to take them on, it's silly to think that, like, just imagine the kind of girl you're going to attract if they're coming about the boat, if they're about the plane. If that's the case, you don't know how they are, right? You don't know if they're going to be okay with coffee dates or when things don't go well. And I think that, I don't know. So again, we got to give based on objective, not the perspective, not the prospectus, not the futures. This is not a futures market. When that continues throughout a relationship, if you date someone and they're a nice guy and all of a sudden he freaking gets a heroin addiction and it might be time to roll out if he can't get that in tune. You can stop giving yourself to him, right? Because you got to give based on objective, not the perspective of what you think it will turn into one day, maybe, might be. I hope that you got some value from that. I hope you enjoyed those 3 tips, 3 keys to dating. By no means are they a definitive list. What you just listened to was an excerpt from the wisdom conversations I do. That's a live radio, and they go longer. You can look at the full versions on the Wisdom app. But I like to take the essence of those and boil it down into bite-sized chunks you can listen to on your drive to empower your love life, so you can have those relationships of trust and lust in your life. And if you ain't got it, you can get it. And if you got it, you can nourish it. And so if you like this content, you can also find more like it at Love Logician, which is my Instagram. And you can also go to logical.love, not .com, but .love. And you can get some free goodies, some nice questions you can ask when you're going through this crazy odyssey we call dating. And also, please leave a review. Honest podcast review. If you tell me the stuff that you liked, tell me the stuff you didn't like, tell me the stuff you'd like to see less of, and the things you'd like to see more of. And I will see you next time on Logical Love.